homeowner, basically outlining all the harassment we had been enduring from the neighbor and the odd behavior of the children. I felt compelled to explain that I understood kids can be influenced by adults, but that did not excuse their actions. My heart raced as I penned those letters. I was determined to stand my ground. I always believed that my garden, with its wildflowers and buzzing bees, was a sanctuary, a piece of nature preserved amidst the suburban chaos. The neighbor's manicured lawn and belligerent demeanor stood in stark contrast to the life I was trying to cultivate. The incident with my mother replayed in my mind, how he had shouted at her over something as trivial as grass length, when she had only ever tried to be kind. It was in that moment of reflection that I realized I could not let this continue. I needed to take action, not just for my peace of mind, but also to protect my family. So, I slipped the letters under the doors of the houses across the street, hoping to shed light on the situation while also encouraging a sense of responsibility among the parents. I knew that my gentle approach might provoke some resistance, but deep down, I was not afraid to confront the chaos that had invaded my peaceful life. The sun was setting as I thought about the risks I was taking. What if they retaliated? That thought lingered, but I quickly dismissed it. I had to believe that standing firm would inspire change. The next morning, the neighbor was out, as usual, trimming his lawn to a short stubble, while I sat on my patio nursing a cup of coffee, steeling myself for whatever might come next. A feeling of determination bubbled within me, mixing with the bitterness of the last few weeks, and I recognized that I was no longer just a passive observer in my own backyard. I would not allow his threats to intimidate me or my family any longer. My heart raced as I prepared for the day, the air thick with tension, but then I noticed something remarkable. The wildflowers were blooming brighter than ever, their vibrant colors dancing in the breeze. In that moment, inspiration struck me like lightning. I decided to host a garden party, a gathering to celebrate the beauty of nature and community. I envisioned inviting not just friends but the neighbors too, including the belligerent one. I wanted to show him and the others that my yard was not just an eyesore, it was a symphony of life. I planned games for the kids, hoping they would see the beauty in nature instead of vandalizing it. I crafted invitations, filled with colorful drawings of flowers and bees, and hand-delivered them to the neighboring houses. As I walked away from each door, I felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this would soften the hardened hearts of my neighbors and bring some much-needed peace. The day of the party arrived, and as guests began to filter into my yard, I felt a mixture of anxiety and excitement. I watched as children marveled at the blooming flowers, their laughter echoing against the backdrop of my peaceful oasis. Even the neighbor appeared, a scowl still plastered on his face, but something shifted as he set his eyes on the gathering. Moments turned into hours, and soon he was cornered by a group of children, enchanted by the nature scavenger hunt I had organized. They pulled him into their games, and I was stunned to see a crack forming in his tough exterior. Just as I hoped, the atmosphere loosened, and laughter floated like dandelion seeds in the wind. By the end of the day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the previously belligerent neighbor approached me, a hint of humility in his demeanor. "Maybe I was too harsh," he muttered, almost sheepishly. My heart swelled with a mixture of triumph and relief. It was a small step, but it was a step toward change. In that moment, I realized that sometimes the best way to combat hostility is not with retaliation, but with kindness and understanding. That was a lesson I would carry with me, knowing that in the heart of our garden, there was always room for growth, healing, and even the most unlikely friendships.